Okay, so my podcast this afternoon is with Tricia Krejca, and Tricia is a witch. So today we're going to learn all about what it takes to be a witch and what different kinds. I'm guessing that you know different things about different witches and stuff like that too.
A little bit of everything.
Get into that microphone a little bit there. There you go.
Yeah, I've looked at different.
Well, let's go back. So when did you find out about it? When did you? I mean, obviously when we were kids, it was witches like the Wizard of Oz witches and stuff like that, which aren't what you are.
No. I was raised Southern Baptist.
Okay.
So, growing up in that, a witch was evil. I mean.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, we always knew that there was a good witch and a bad witch, right? I mean,
yeah.
The Wizard of Oz stuff.
But yeah. I mean, it's the way I was brought up was, they worship the devil. It was satanic. It was just evil, basically.
Okay.
So, but what really got me, I would have to say I was about 19, and Christianity just wasn't doing it for me anymore.
So it's a religion, because I don't know anything about it.
No, because religion is defined as something as dogmatic. You have scripture, you have
Sure.
Witchcraft is more of you're worshiping nature, you're worshiping different gods, goddesses.
Okay.
There is no set.
So is it like what's that Santeria or like voodoo or something like that?
That's that basically falls under the pagan umbrella.
Okay.
Same as witchcraft, Wicca, Odinism.
Okay.
So
if someone's a Wiccan.
Now, okay, and this is why I brought notes, because
Sure.
Wicca, there was this guy, and let me see, I always forget his name, Gerald Gardner. He basically wrote this book, and he basically, the history of Wicca it's based on Druidism, nature, worship of the god and the goddess.
Okay.
But they follow the creed, everybody calls it, or the reed, and that's the basic, harm none.
Okay.
So no harm comes to you. It's a threefold law, and that's why I'm not Wiccan.
Okay. Oh.
So yeah, no, I'm not Wiccan. There's a difference. And it's funny because a lot of us say not every Wiccan is a witch, and not every witch is Wiccan.
Okay.
Basically, Wicca falls under the pagan umbrella, so to speak. Again.
Right.
But they're the only pagan religion that is noticed by the government.
Oh, okay. So like they're tax exempt?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So is there a church or?
Not. No, there's covens. There's groups that get together.
Okay.
But there's no church, so to speak.
All right.
So
microphone, just get in there a little bit if you can. Yeah. I know it's different, but yeah, I got to be able to. I can hear you just fine. I just want everyone else to be able to hear.
Yeah.
You. Right.
But yeah, no, there is no. It's basically the religion honors the elements of nature, but that's basically what all pagans do.
Okay.
So
I mean, sounds more realistic than some of the religions that are out there.
Oh yeah, but don't get me wrong. There's the ones that take it to the extreme, just like any.
Right. Okay. So like when we talk about that kind of stuff, is it spells and potions and stuff like that, or is it just like loving the earth and stuff like that?
To some people, it is, and that's one of the reasons why I love witchcraft and being a witch.
Sure.
To every person, it's an individualized. It's what feels good to you.
Okay.
So some people do spells. Some people when my daughter moved to Florida, I made a protective satchel that she kept with her.
Sure.
It's more about intention than anything else.
Right.
Some people believe in love spells, and and all that.
What about like evil stuff? I mean, can you like put a hex on somebody or?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Well, and that's where Wicca differs from a lot of other things. I am an eclectic solitary gray witch, which means that I don't draw a very fine line where some others do. White witches, white lighters, whatever you want to call them.
Well, yeah, you explain it to me because I don't. So is it like? So I like the Lord of the Ring books and the Lord of the Ring movies, and then like Gandalf was Gandalf the Gray, and then he was Gandalf the White, which was like a higher up, like an elevation of a sort. So is that what you're talking about? Like you go from gray to white, or you go?
No,
okay.
no. Gray allows you to look at your dark side.
Okay.
Basically, do more shadow work.
Okay.
Whereas if somebody does something to me, I will do something back. Basically, is what that is.
So do witches ever go to war with each other and keep doing stuff back and forth to each other, or?
Some do.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. And this is where I'm more of a realist.
Okay.
Than a fantasy.
Yeah, right.
And there are those that are, oh yes, I'm in this fight with another witch, and we keep going back and forth.
But no one's got lightning bolts coming out of their fingers or anything like that.
No. So, but no, what I do is basically everything in nature, there's and I hate to use this phrase, but the circle of life. Everything dies, and there's a dark side to everything. And being a gray witch, I acknowledge that in me.
Okay. Oh, so that acknowledges your dark side too.
Yes.
Then. Got it.
So, doesn't mean I'm always using it.
Right.
So, but that basically, like blood magic, a lot of the light bearers or whatever they want to call themselves, they don't use that. They think of that as evil.
So that's so boy, I'm almost lost already. A light bearer, explain that.
You can call them a white witch. They sometimes there's a term on the internet called the fluffy bunny witches.
Okay.
So, and that's basically
so like Gelda the Good Witch sort of a thing.
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what would Stevie Nicks be? What does she consider herself? Do you know?
I don't know what she considers herself. Myself, I would think of her as a gray.
A gray, okay. She's got good and bad.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think she acknowledges both sides.
Okay.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
So and then the fuzzy bunny one, they just think that they're just good all the time.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yes. You can never do anything bad. It's.
Right. I dated a couple of those. They're not that much fun. So. But so in a normal, do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so now are they going to be witches too? And is a boy still a witch, or is he something?
Oh no,
else?
there is no wizard. There is no. Okay. Everybody's a witch.
Yeah. What's the I thought there was another word for a witch that was a guy. It was there was a movie or something like that with. I can't think of the word for it, but
sometimes they're called sorcerers. Sometimes, but no, men are witches too.
Okay.
So.
All right. So, and then the husband, he's a witch also,
Nope.
or no? Okay,
Nope.
He's just not involved in it at all.
He has his own beliefs. We don't really talk about him. He accepts me.
Well, that's good.
So.
Yeah. Right. That'd be important.
In all my weirdness, he accepts it.
Right.
He is one that he believes that there's a higher power, but the Christian God, I don't think he really,
right.
The Bible toting, thumping.
Yeah, right. Now, I mean, that I don't. I look at it like everybody can have, along with the witch stuff and everything else, they can have whatever makes them happy. If it makes them happy, my mom's like heavily into her church, and it's a social thing that I wouldn't want anyone to ever take away from her. I mean, she's all of her friends are there and everything else. And for me, I'm not a believer. I tried to for like 4 years. I went and I did a big study and everything else. I would like deep into scripture and theology and the philosophy of a lot of it. It's really like, positive. You can look at it in a positive way. But believing that like some guy had a boat and he put all the animals on it and stuff like that, and then when people take it even further and they want to believe that the planet is 6,000 years old, when science tells us
It's
for
much
sure
older.
it's absolutely, it's not even much older. 6,000, it's like 4 billion years
Yes.
old. So I mean, and people don't seem to grasp the difference between 1,000 and a billion. A million is 1,000. And
Yes.
a billion is 1,000 million. So like it's an astronomically different thing, and there's concrete. The science is not out on it. That's how old the planet is. So when they start doing that, then it starts to. It still doesn't bother me. Like however you want to believe that, if you need that to believe in all the other things that are in the book, then that's fine. But I can't have those conversations because
Right.
I can't deal with that like suspension of critical thinking and reality and everything else. I'm a big like outdoorsman. I with the fish tanks. I love nature and all that other stuff. I've definitely looked at it like there could be some higher force, that the earth is the thing. So in your I don't know, should I call it a religion?
It's more of it's a, what can I say? It's more of a,
Just a way of life or a
Yeah,
belief system or
yes,
something like that?
yeah, it's
that's
not-
all fine. But in that, like, is the earth or is the sun, or like, is it something like that where, like, what's the deity? What's the...
oh, there's so many different deities that you can worship under the pagan umbrella.
Okay.
I mean, there's Bridget, there's Hecate,
Yeah, explain some of those. That's something I could learn there
Well,
for sure.
there's Odinism,
Okay.
which is,
Yeah, Thor and right.
Yes.
So
but
the old
like
Viking stuff.
the Celtic, there's the Celtic gods and goddesses. There's surprisingly, like the Egyptian gods are making a comeback.
Okay, Pharaoh and all that stuff.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Ra.
Isis actually is a goddess. That's why a lot of us get a little mad over that.
Sure. Right.
But yeah, Ra, that's actually making a really big comeback.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I lean more towards the Celtic.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's so many different. There's one that I actually ran across, and it was weird because with what I believe, there's Ellen, and she's the goddess of the crossroads.
Okay.
But her main connotation is the deer, and the deer goddess. A lot of people call her. But like for that, I was out walking, and this deer literally like just popped its head out, and it was so calm and it was a stag, and it just looked at me,
Sure.
and we stood there looking at each other for like a good 5 minutes,
Right.
and then it just calmly turned around and walked away. And it was after that I found her in my studies.
Okay.
So she's one that I do.
So is it a lot of like seeing signs and stuff
Some of
like
it,
that?
yeah.
Like, I mean, do you do like? Is there any like? So I'm not lost. I'm just like I don't know anything about it.
No, a lot of people don't.
Right. I mean, are you reading tea leaves? Are you doing tarot cards?
I do tarot.
Okay.
And
Is astronomy part of this?
yes, yeah, it can fall into it, and that's part of being an eclectic witch, is that things that feel good to us or feels right is we can take that and put it in our own.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, you're eclectic.
Yeah.
Right. You can just take and right. You can pick and choose how you want to do it.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's pretty free spirited and like open to your interpretation of whatever it
Yes.
is. So there's no like set. You said there's coven or something like that, but no church and no set guidelines.
No, that's usually the covens are usually with Wicca,
Okay.
and they have their own little Bible, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
but I've never read it.
Okay.
I've never wished to, and it mainly comes down to the not harming anybody thing. I'm sorry, but if I want to, I'm going to. So
Right. They don't trace it back to you. You can be doing hard time for some witch activity.
So, but yeah, no, Wicca has their own thing. But yeah, no, it is. It's it's personal. It's very individualized.
Okay.
And you can see signs. A lot of people can take it to an extreme,
Mm-hmm.
But mainly, for me, it's a calmness. It's a,
Now, okay, so backtracking, when did you start to get into, like, now were you were raised, like you said, with a Christian upbringing? What is there heavy religion in your family? Because I have
Oh yes.
so I have an aunt that I think she dabbled in some witch stuff. She was really into Ouija boards and all that kind of stuff. She was really into astronomy and all kinds of
New Age.
anything you can think of. And then she found being a Jehovah's Witness, and then that's what stayed. And she's serious. They're at church 3 times a week. She's walking around knocking on doors and all that other stuff. So I think there's a certain personality type that's drawn to there being something more than just we're walking around and we're just like the cat and the dog and everything else.
Right.
So does your family have a lot of religion in it? All over the place?
For the most part, like I said, I was raised Southern Baptist. My dad actually converted to Nazarene. My brother belonged to some cult in Indiana.
Cult, like what? Like Christian?
No,
one?
it was a Christian one.
Okay.
Well, that's my nickname, and anybody who's around me, that's our nickname for it.
Sure.
It was supposed to be Southern Baptist, and this is where I think the Baptist part is what really drove me away, is that, the women were supposed to stand behind the men. And I mean, they take this quite literally. No
a lot of
pants.
Christian religions, yes.
Yeah,
right.
the
Head
women,
covers and stuff like that. That's what people don't seem to grasp with there's the hardcore Christians somehow don't like the hardcore Muslims, but they're so similar.
They are.
I don't understand why they don't see the similarities between the two of them. I mean, I understand that maybe some people watch a certain news and then there's supposed to be bad guys and good guys and everything else, but you're still religious zealots, the both of you. So you would think, and sometimes I look at it like the Republican Party is missing the boat on they're villainizing Mexicans, and Mexicans are a voting base that would normally vote conservative.
Yes.
They're very religious. They're very conservative people to begin with. So that's a whole voting block that should be going Republican, and it's not because they're brown. So maybe that's not fit for everyone, but there's something there that's going on that's not right, because that's a conservative people.
They are.
Sure.
Oh, they are very.
There's a lot of very religious African Americans too, and they're turned off by Republicans because of some of the. I think if the Republicans would do better if they just got rid of the white nationalists out of there, because there's not that many of those. Most of the Republicans I know aren't super racist dudes and women, but the David Dukes of the world are right there hanging on to that. So the Mexicans and the blacks can't, we can't abide by that.
No.
So, So you grew up with very Christian stuff going on. Where did you find?
Well, and it was the whole, the woman has no voice, has no.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that's what made me basically start looking at different things. Mm-hmm. And I looked at Buddhism. I looked at other religions, and nothing really sat well with me. And so then when I started, and my uncle, and God, I hope this doesn't get me in trouble, but he was
I don't have very many listeners. Probably not gonna be that much trouble.
Well, he was a Mason.
Okay, yeah, my great grandfather was a Mason.
And
A Freemason.
Yeah, and he
Right.
came up to me one time, and we were at like a funeral or something, and he just looked at me and he's like, it's such a shame that you were born a girl. And what? Thanks.
Right.
And so then he explained a little bit about the Masons to me, and that's when I realized that, so we're kind of closeted witches anyways in this family.
Right.
And I would consider my grandmother a kitchen witch. I mean, she worked magic in the kitchen.
Yeah.
People would be like, "Oh my God, how does she do what she does with just the small ingredients she has?"
Sure.
Stuff like that. So then I started looking into paganism and delved into Greek mythology, which of course then took me off into like 10 different directions. And at first, for the longest time, I just considered myself pagan.
Now, what's weird is there's a lot of pagan, like the Christmas tree, that's a pagan
Yes.
thing that, we've taken into this celebration of Christmas, which, most people, if they're playing the Christian role, they want to act like that, it's something to do with Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not. It's shopping
Yeah.
and it's
Let's bring Christ back into Christmas and
Yeah, they can say that, but they're not. They're knocking people down at Walmart to get to that,
Yeah.
$50 off TV. But there's all kinds of other pagan things. I'm not sure about the Easter Bunny and hiding the eggs.
oh,
and all the
actually,
other,
that's
all pagan stuff too, right?
Yep.
I knew, right. Well, I know this because my aunt that's the Jehovah's Witness. Like the reason they don't celebrate a lot of that stuff is because pagans,
Yeah.
they're the bad guys. They don't believe in God. Now, I consider myself agnostic, and at one time I was atheist, and then when I really thought about it, like it's sort of arrogant to be an atheist because an atheist
Yes.
says there is no God, and they want to tell you that there is no God. There's no God. Well, I don't know if there's a God or not. So I'm agnostic. I'm just, hey, there could be, but
But there might not be.
there might not be, and I've never seen any proof of it. So I'm open-minded. The minute that I see proof of it, then okay, then I've got it. But until someone can, show me something that there's so many people that get into a position that they have some terrible thing happen in their life, or it's the opposite. Great things are happening in their life, and they feel like these blessings must be put upon me by a greater power because I'm special. I'm
Yes.
sealed with the mark and all the other stuff like that. And so both want to believe in God. And then when someone explains the Christian God, that sounds great. Like that
Yes.
sounds terrific to them because of the positions that they're in. If you're in a position of great wealth is coming your way and you maybe feel a little bit guilty about not doing as much, you put it on as God's giving me, that these are my blessings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the other guy who's getting stepped on, if you really read the Bible, the Old Testament has a lot to do with in the future, the people who put me down are going to kneel in front of me, and I'm
Yes.
going to be on top of this thing. Because the Jewish people were a people that were second-class citizens almost everywhere. They were a people without a country
Yes.
for the longest time, and they were going to rule everything. They were, in the book, they're the kings of the world and everything else, and the center of the universe is Israel, which sounds great. If you're picked on everything else, it's terrific to think that in the end you're going to be,
Yeah.
on top of the world. So it sounds to me like the overwhelming thing that I get from you is that you're incredibly open-minded, coming from a Christian background and saying, well, I'm going to look into everything, even pagan, which is like, my aunt would her hair would start on fire because that would be like the ultimate bad thing to do and everything else. For me, like I said, I'm agnostic. I don't really believe in anything. You'd have a really hard time convincing me that ghosts or angels or demons, any of that existed. Like really hard. You'd have to like bring one, which it's not going to happen. So like none of this stuff like freaks me out. I had a roommate who he could watch every slasher movie, the blood, the guts didn't bother him, but But if you put The Exorcist on or something that had to do with a cross,
okay. Yes,
because to him that was real, and he was freaked out for like the next week. He's like, dude, he's as scared as can be. And this is a dude that could fight. He, was athletic and everything else, and he was freaked with the whole anything like that. So you got to believe in it to I'm interested in finding out about spells and hexes and all that other stuff, but whatever. To me personally, it's not a thing. And if you put a hex on my neighbor who's crazy, hey, and he turns out to be not crazy, that'd be awesome.
Well, now, see, when it comes to that stuff, that's where I become more of a realist. Like I said, I gave my daughter a protection amulet. It was just a bag full of things, but I did like a spell.
Okay.
But it was for protection, to protect her. She was going to go far away.
Right. No different to me than someone putting holy water on somebody or putting a crucifix around their neck and send them on their way.
But hexes, things like that, I don't know. I don't know how much I put into those. I do believe that things do come around, though. Not karma necessarily, but...
Yeah, I would. I'd like to believe in karma, and then Donald Trump happened. And I'm
I know.
No, you can't even. I mean, he's done a lot of bad things to a lot of bad people, and look at him. He's president of the United States. So, right, there's no karma. That's not a thing.
But I do believe that, when you throw your intention out into the universe, it does affect things.
Sure.
Because there are a lot of bad people out there that it does eventually come back to you.
Well, it can come back to you in a bunch of ways, too. Like I tell my kids all the time, like, listen, and times are different. When I was a kid, I think kids were the meanest thing that ever was. Oh my gosh, we treated everyone awfully and they treated us awfully. It was like a constant picking on. I mean,
yes.
I had friends that just stood in a spot in the hallway and nicknamed every single person that walked by. Oh, you're, fuzzy face, and you're, like, it was just something for every single person just to make fun of them, just constantly doing that. And that was like the pastime in the morning. But I think from talking to my kids, I think times are different now. There's not as much bullying and stuff going on. But I told them, I go, listen, you be nice to every single person that you run across, and be the person. If your friends are being mean to someone, you be nice to them. And I go, not just because it's the right thing to do, but if it being the right thing to do doesn't do it for you, think about it like this. If someday you own a tire store and some guy walks in and you're the asshole at school, he's going to turn around and walk right the hell out.
Yes.
And you might have needed that sale today to keep yourself afloat. So it's going to benefit you. I mean, if someone wants to equate that to karma or whatever like that, I think if, shitty people just should get shitty treatment and stuff like that. I'm all about free speech, but you can use that either way. So if someone, like, I don't, this stuff that goes on in the colleges now where, like, people are shouting down Nazis and won't listen, I think everybody should let a Nazi say whatever he wants to say, and you should sit there quietly, let him say his thing, and then look at him and go, bullshit. Yeah. And then turn around and walk away. And that's it. Or don't give him any oxygen at all. Just don't talk. Don't even pay any attention to him. Just walk past him. But in colleges now, there are counter protests where they're just screaming them down.
Oh, yeah.
So, but back to the witch thing. It's interesting. I mean, so do you have certain, like, herbs and, like, is there certain things that the protection packet that you put together for, what is that?
Yes. Well, I had crystals in there.
Okay.
And then I think I put red clover in there. Just there are herbs out there that are used for certain things.
Sure.
Bay leaves, sage, of course. Rose hips. I'm trying to think of what all I've got at home. Just different things. I have a thing that's called devil's root, and it's for protection.
Okay.
I do have a lot of things.
So, and how are your kids with that? Is that embarrassing to them? Like, do they tell their friends about it, or?
Oh no, she has no problem with it.
No, good. That's great.
And it's funny because for the longest time she did say she at first she said she was an atheist.
Okay.
Then it moved up to agnostic.
Right.
Because it's nice to think that there is something bigger than us.
I think it's great to think of it, and I think it's especially good if you're like, so I was like, happily an atheist, just, that's good for me. And then my girlfriend's dad died, and she was like looking for something more out of it and everything else. And I didn't, being an atheist to her was shitty. Like, it was like, he's not, I can't go along and say that he's in some fairy tale land, because I can't. Heaven sounds great until you actually think about it for more than 30 seconds.
Yes.
Because one guy's heaven is hell. You know what I mean? If all the loose women aren't there, then what am I doing there?
Yeah.
Right. So, like, it doesn't make any sense to, there's no way if there's all kinds of different people that I absolutely adore, have a great time with them. They stimulate my brain. All this kind of stuff happens with them. And if heaven was a thing and then they weren't there, well, then that would be bad. Like, that would not be as good. So none of it makes any sense. But for her father, I didn't want her to,
Yeah.
So it's a difficult thing. And I think there's a lot of things that we do to try and rationalize in the moment. My least favorite being the cliche phrase, everything happens for a reason. That's the dumbest thing anyone can say if you just stop and think about it for a little bit. The second one is, God never gives you more than you can handle. There are insane asylums full of people that got more than they could handle.
Yes.
That's exactly what happened, and that's why they're there. So, no, that's wrong also. It's a nice thing to say something like that to someone when they're going through something. But for the most part, most people don't go through anything totally catastrophic. They go through, I lost this job, and they're, everything happens for a reason, because, Sally's going to get a new job. That's all dandy. But if you're a Holocaust survivor, everything happened for a reason is complete bullshit.
That is bullshit.
If you're a 11-year-old girl chained to a bed and there's a sex offender who's, kidnapped you, everything happened for a reason is bullshit.
Yes.
If you're a child dying of cancer, everything happened for a reason, kiss my ass.
Yes.
It's not real. So, anyways, okay. So, you're gray. So, the thing that you made for your daughter, that's like a necklace she can wear? Or,
it was in a pouch. It was in a pouch. She kept it in her car.
Okay, good. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Has it worked?
I would like to think so.
Good.
There were, when she was down in Orlando, there were a couple times where I think she could have been in an accident or two, because she drives like me.
Right.
So
this to me doesn't sound any different than someone believing in a guardian angel.
Yeah.
Or, that my Uncle Jojo, who loved me, is up there looking
watching
down.
over me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. You can basically equate it to that. Yes.
Well, it's similar. Right.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, for me, it's no more of a fantastic belief than that. So that, seems like no harm to me at all. So Gray, how do you get someone to carry around the pouch of stuff that's, not so good for them? Just slip it in their pocket on their way out, or
that I've never used a pouch for that.
Okay.
For me, that comes down to like the blood magic, and
okay, explain.
Sometimes some things call for a greater sacrifice. Like when you throw your intention out, you could say you're throwing your energy out there. The same thing with the darker stuff. And for that, you do have to sacrifice a little bit more, which for me, a little prick on my thumb and a drop of blood is not a big deal.
Okay, so that's a sacrifice.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
So, but I mean,
I had a buddy that was like trying to skin a cat or trying to find a cat to skin when we were kids all the time. He was going to, I think it was all Satan involved. And, I looked at that like, his mom was, I think he was just rebelling against his mom. His mom was super, super, super religious. And he was like going to, go the other way. And I'm like, you do understand you're validating the Jesus thing when you validate Satan, right?
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, yeah, let it go.
Yeah.
It's better just not to believe in it in the first place. But but theoretically, if you were full of angst all the time, you could just be cranking out,
I guess so, yeah.
right, bad stuff and working that
And
angle.
blaming people, and that's where I like to call myself a realist. There are those out there that love to blame other people, other deities, other things for their problems.
Right.
I don't do that.
Right. Yeah, I'm so agnostic in every sense of the word. Like, when someone says they're a psychic, I just I love that. That makes me giggle. Because it's like, listen, I could be, honestly, if someone bestowed psychic power on me today, I'm telling you, within a year or two, I'm the most powerful person on the planet.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you what's going to happen next. Like there was a bit on Mad TV where the lady calls into Cleo or whatever like that. And
Oh,
she's
yes.
like, "Where were you on September 10th? Couldn't you let someone know about September 11th happening? Before it happened and stuff like that." And she's like, "Oh, it doesn't work that way." And well, it should. To me, there's just too much stuff that just reeks of bullshit. But so that's why I'm where I'm at now. If there was something, I think then I'd be more open-minded actually to the nature stuff and everything else. And I definitely have thoughts like that. I have thoughts like would do a lot of hunting and stuff, and I would never kill anything that I didn't eat because I'm a meat eater and stuff. And an animal dies when I eat a burger, so it doesn't change anything for me if I eat a pheasant or a duck or anything like that because it's still the same.
I used to hunt.
Right, same thing.
So, yeah.
So during the witch stuff has nothing to do with you're not a vegan or anything like that.
No. Now there are some that do that, and I mean if that's what floats your boat, great. But no, to me, nature is nature.
Right.
It's
right.
There's
these little critters here, right? They're eaters, and the tank here had it had a couple smallmouth bass in there, and the smallmouth are way more vicious than these two are. But in an average week, just these two fish, they'll go through 36 minnows. So 36 little lives go in this tank and then get eaten up. And there are times where I think to myself, am I creating a bad karma situation for me? I mean, this is mass murder happening in this tank.
Yeah, but it's nature, though.
It's totally nature, right? If you look out in the lake behind the house, that's going on all on its own. So I don't work by feeling too bad. But there's definitely times in my mind I think to myself, geez, I'm kind of perpetrating this, thing. And I hope it doesn't, have any bad holdings for myself. And I wouldn't just go. I don't know if I want to equate it to a moral thing, but I wouldn't just go out killing animals. Just if a chipmunk runs out on the road, I'm swerving to miss it.
Oh no, that's
I can't stand it. And this time of year, the robins are crazy. They're always fighting for a mate, and they're never looking for the cut. You're like, I don't want to hit. So I feel bad about it. I probably shot. It's in the hundreds. Because I was pheasant hunting since I was a little kid. And I've never not had that twinge of I know I'm going to eat it and everything's cool and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm totally good with that part. But this animal was a wild animal this morning doing its own thing, and I showed up with my gun and my boots and took him. So it definitely, it plays my mind. I don't know if it's morality or what it is, but the Buddhist thing is really interesting to me.
See, now I would put that to empathy.
Okay.
Is you're being empathetic.
Right.
You are taking a life. So it's I can see the twinge because I've done it myself.
Right.
Fishing, I do it.
Yeah.
So
right.
But no, I think that comes down to being empathetic to things.
Right.
So
your only other choice is to go totally vegan. And for me, anyone who's if you're a vegetarian for the animal reason, but you're still wearing leather or you're still driving a car with leather seats, have a leather couch, you're still, eating fish, or you're like, well, I'm a vegetarian except for a little bit of chicken and some. No, that doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do that for your diet, by all, like, I am so like live and let live. Do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy. Do that, but the only person that is not a hypocrite in that sense is the person that's like 100% vegan, tofu.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. You're the only person that's working that angle. Okay, so but like the Buddhists, that's another one. That one I would like to get and talk to a Buddhist, 'cause I'd like to know. I did a little bit of reading on it, and I'd like to know more about it. But like they won't kill anything.
No.
Like earthworms and like bugs and stuff like that. For me,
Oh, no.
I'll run over as many ants as I can run over.
No,
Yeah,
the
no.
spiders are, that's a limited timeline that they have
Right
in our house.
A witch doesn't. There's no bonus to a spider. That sounds like a witchy kind of thing.
You would think so, but for me, no.
Okay. Personally, bats.
Actually, I think they're cute and adorable.
Yeah, I like bats. I like.
So, the whole rabies thing kind of puts me off, but
It's a little off-putting.
so.
But as far as they go, like we got them out here, and they're wiping out bugs and stuff.
Well,
like that,
that's
so
just it. I mean, they're beneficial.
spiders do the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's why they make bug spray.
Everybody's different. Okay, so you started looking into all the different things, and you found paganism.
Yes.
As a way. And how'd you find it? Was there a guy out there with a neon sign?
No, well, actually, I mean, this is back in the day. So, the library.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. And that, kids, that was how we did it. That's how my buddy found the books with all the spells, and it can't, like, he was like, the big, like, I don't know what. I stayed out of it, like whatever he was going to do, but it was like they were trying to conjure Satan,
Yeah.
The physical form, whatever, like that. But and it was like a lot of Star of David type. I think it's Star of David. I'm not even sure.
Well, there's there's the pentagram,
Right.
and the pentacle, and like I wear my pentacle.
Okay. So do you wear that everywhere?
Yeah.
And no one ever gives you any grief?
Once in a while.
Do they?
Yeah.
What do they say?
Oh my God! What is that? Do you worship the devil? No, that's a Christian thing, and I don't believe in him. So
Right.
But no, I'll get looks, especially if I'm wearing more. I have other things that I wear too,
Yeah.
and I will get looks. A lot of, like, when my daughter was living in Orlando, going to Disney, you get a lot of the Christian groups that are on their little field trips and stuff.
Sure. Well, down south, that's
You'll
right.
see them grab their kids.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Ever mess with them?
Because I'm gonna eat their
I had an
kids.
Italian roommate, and he would do the evil eye thing all the time. I mean, you should carry a wand. That would be right.
So yeah, but
Like
no.
I said, you got to believe in that stuff for it to be a thing. I mean, if I was somewhere and somebody was waving a wand at me, I would, probably just.
No, but I mean, it was the library, and then when the internet came along, it was.
I
Wow.
gotta believe it's I mean, things that are scientifically provable not to be, like flat Earth, is a thing. It's because
Sorry, I rolled my eyes a little too hard.
No. It's a thing because you can get your affirmation on the internet. So you can get into a
Yes.
chat room with people that agree with you or that want the same outcome, and then you can convince each other that it is this thing. So
Yeah.
I would venture to guess, like I said, your belief system, it sounds to me possibly more realistic than the virgin birth and all the other things, and the boogeyman
Yes.
in the sky who's watching me all the time. I mean, I think some of the problems I have with the Christian thing is the parallels between Santa Claus and God. Like, both of them are looking at you all the time, and they know
Yes.
who's naughty and nice. Like, it's okay. All right. Like, I can't.
I look at the Bible as it's a good read.
Yeah.
It's a good story. But for me, that's
it's not even the greatest story. Like,
No.
some of it's like really, really. I mean, there's a lot of daughters that have sex with their father,
Yes.
and like weird things that like, there's a lot of stuff where there's an angry mob because there are angels in the house, and they send the angels out to have sex with, or sends his daughters out to have sex with the mob so that they don't come get the which
Yeah.
it's a lot of
The
crazy
stoning,
the stoning,
it's, yeah.
there's a lot of, and I mean, if you go in there and then all of the stuff, Old Testament stuff that is, disrespectful children should be stoned
yeah.
to death and stuff like that, that it's like would really blow people's hair back if they actually read it. But I think most people have good intention when they go to church. I think most people, when they go to church and they see this other smiling people, it's a social thing.
It is.
So
it
is your thing social? You have are there other witches that you hang with and
No.
talk this? No.
No.
How about the
That's-
internet? Like, do you get on there and like have buddies?
Okay, no, I shouldn't say that. No, there are some groups that I do belong to.
Okay.
But I'm on there mainly to learn, so I don't participate too much. Anytime I ever have, it's always been so negative because you do have the ones, just as in any religion, I commented on something one time as a joke, and she's like, how can you call yourself a witch if you weren't born on Friday the 13th? And it's like, what?
No, are they all? Is that a thing? They're all born on.
Some people believe it. Some,
Was that? I mean, that was a serious comment.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, she got very mad at me, and I just was like, okay, I'm leaving this conversation now because you're taking this one step over.
I've never even looked at like how many Friday the 13th are there in a year on the average.
I have no idea.
So there can't be.
No.
That really kind of takes the numbers down pretty hard.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. That's,
So, but no, that's, but I do belong to those groups, but I don't, outside real life, I don't, socialize with anybody who's a witch or anything. I know people that are pagan, but don't believe the same dogma I do.
okay. Right,
So,
you can pick and choose what you want.
Yeah.
It seems to me that there would be an avenue there because of the internet, to really get into some funky, weird.
Oh, there's some, yeah. Like I say, I keep saying that I'm like a realist because there are some out there that are like, I sit there going, wow, okay.
Now, what was the Nicolas Cage movie? Wasn't there like a Wicker Man or something?
Oh, the Wicker Man?
Yeah. Now, is that something along the?
Kind of, yeah. There's the Burning Man festival.
Okay, right. Now, Burning Man, I always just equated that to a bunch of people doing drugs and like
Yeah, it is.
hanging out in the desert.
And they have a big old bonfire.
Right. So now, what about drugs?
What about them?
I don't know. I mean, so like growing up, we've done like my favorite things. I shouldn't say favorite things, but like the things that I tried that I was like, that was actually kind of fun. Was like mushrooms and stuff like that. I was never a big like pot guy, and it had for our generation had a bad stigma. Like you were a stoner or whatever like that. I didn't care about it. I had buddies that were like, come on, and I tried it. And my only problem with smoking pot was it would put me right to sleep.
Yeah.
So like I got 5 beers in me, I take a couple hits of that pot, and then
you're
I'm
done.
on the couch sleeping. And I wake up the next day and I'm like, I wasted the whole night. That was Saturday, and I slept through it. So not my thing.
I don't use them.
Okay, I would think that would be a huge thing because
for a lot of them,
there's
it
all
is.
of the what's peyote and like.
Oh yeah.
Right now, how closely is because the Native Americans had a lot of parallels with the use of marijuana, use of peyote, use of psychedelics
For shamanism, yeah.
Right. So I don't know, there was a book that was just out that I was interested in picking up on Amazon that was about, it was a scientist's look at psilocybin, which is the mushrooms, the active ingredient in it. And they're starting to use that and, I'm not well versed on my drugs, but there's another one that they're using for PTSD, and they're having some really, really good results. That and heroin addicts, getting people off of heroin. Somehow the psychedelics are resetting your brain.
Yeah.
And I would think that if you were someone that was deep into worshiping herbs and the earth and all, like, that would be definitely a thing.
I love mushrooms.
Right. No, that to me, that's all fine. I don't think that's something that someone should do like on a weekly or daily basis, because you'd be a screwball. But if it's something that would open, like the Doors movie where they do the peyote,
yes.
like they really see these visions and stuff like that. I like I said again, I would like to believe it seems more realistic than the dogma of religion and stuff, to think that there is something more and that I could tap into it somehow through things that actually exist. Like those aren't drugs that are concocted. Right. So.
Oh no, I mean, I've never used them in that context.
Yeah.
I mean, I was.
Well, we're in our 40s. I mean, gosh, I would hope that everyone's different, but I don't think you're a fully rounded person if you haven't tried something. Right. And I think that you need to get away from the thought that every time someone says something about doing drugs that they're a loser and all sorts of stuff. Because that's not it. And there's plenty of people out there that have done drugs that don't become addicted to them and stuff like that. So,
well, I'm a big proponent of medical marijuana. I don't see why we don't use it more.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of reading on it, and I'm not positive it's an actual medicine, but I definitely think it has attributes that cancer patients that have upset stomachs could definitely benefit from it. And then if someone's substituting marijuana for opioids, 70,000 people died last year from the opioid epidemic. So if there's some way to get, to use that in a substitute way or something like that, then that's great. And I know that the numbers, I just looked at them from Colorado, says that the recreational use is really not up there, even though it's legal. And obviously the crime went way down.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly left leaning. But when it comes to the drug thing, like it's my one crazy libertarian thing is that I think they should make it all legal. Like, do whatever you want with all of that stuff. And then instead of prosecuting people who get caught with the drugs, we should treat the people who have some sort of addiction. But I don't know. I think it'd be great if you had a religion that actually was like, gave you the full green light on it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, with
the people that you've met, are people heavily into that because of the...
Some are, yes. Yeah. So...
And I mean, pot today is... Like, I remember smoking pot when I was a kid, and I remember a couple times being like, dude, I don't think that's pot. Like, we smoked all that, and, like, nothing happened. And it might have been pot, it was just really shitty pot. But now, I mean... Oh,
the stuff that's out there now.
I've had a podcast, we won't put it on there, where, the guy's getting high or whatever like that, and it's one hit, and it's gone. I almost think that it's getting to a point where it's like... someone says something about, they're like, oh, I got these edibles, these gummies, and they're like, you just take the leg of the gummy bear, and that, I'm like, really? Like, that'll do it? He's like, any more than that, man, and you're going to be in big, big trouble.
Well, my sister has her card up in Michigan, so, so she does the edibles, and, and,
right.
But she does patients, cancer patients.
Yeah.
So
I like I said, if it helps someone out with glaucoma or whatever they have going on, then I have more power to it. And that's a plant, that's a so that I would think that would be right up your alley as far as these are natural things. And there's obviously more to scientifically, like speaking, where you don't have to believe in anything. Marijuana will get you high.
Oh yeah.
Crystals might not do anything.
I have crystals. I have a lot of crystals. Right. But no, I don't use them for that. But no, I guess if I was, as I call myself, the lazy witch, if I was more into it, I probably would be more into tapping into things. So, but like I said, I labeled myself the lazy witch.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, if it's not... I always see people that get too consumed with something that it's like, their entire life is revolving around this one thing. And to me, that's too much too. So what about, what is ever, the protection thing sounds good because that, like I said, seems no different than
Right.
giving
Guardian
someone
angels or
any of that stuff. But what about anything else in your life that you've done a spell or something like that, and it's worked? Like anything that you've said, well, that really, that you couldn't just write off as a coincidence.
See, and that's where I fall back on my realist. I meditate. I ground myself. I would like to think that I feel energy when I'm grounding myself, be it from the earth, whatever. But to sit down and say, okay, I have had, and people can say it was just coincidence, but there was one time that I was being an extreme bitch to my husband. Okay. And when I say extreme, I can take it to the extreme. And I had to run out. And so I had to take his car. And in the car ride, I'm thinking, oh my God, I really am being a real bitch to him. I need to tone it down. I got a flat tire.
Oh, there you go.
Forgot my phone. Started raining.
Okay.
And then as I'm trying to change the flat tire, like the lugs wouldn't come loose. And I'm thinking, okay, all right, I get it. I'm being a bitch. Please,
right.
Can I just cut me a break?
Almost karma or something like that. Could be right.
Yeah, that
Sure.
was one time where I was like, okay, I get it.
Right.
So, but as far as spells go, if I do something, I never specifically wait to see if something happens.
Right.
I just throw it out there. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
So it's almost like hoping.
Kind of, yes.
Praying for something,
yes.
too. That was always the weird one, too, with the Christian religions. Like when you see a athlete or something, and some are starting now, you'll hear them saying stuff like, well, I don't pray to win. I just pray for protection that, neither of us get hurt and stuff like that. And it always seemed like the oddest thing. Like the ones who win the Super Bowl and they thank Jesus. Well, there were probably people that were religious on the other side, and did he not want them today? Like that's not good.
Yes.
It's I don't know if it's not good. It's just not well thought out. Like,
no.
Think about it for a second. There's all kinds of conflicts on the planet that are happening. I doubt God was too worried about that football game that went down. But okay, so. Yeah, so the drug thing is a thing. When you're like chat room stuff and everything else, do they have different drugs for different, are the people that are into that, is that something that they're really, really, like, does it tell them things? Does anyone get...
Supposedly?
Okay.
And that's, and that's where maybe I'm not the best person to talk to this about, because I don't... A lot of people will say...
if someone says they don't know. That's fine by me. Because, people that act like they know everything about everything, they're a waste of time. The guy who says, I don't know, then someone else can go find out somewhere else. And that's fine by me. But it just, to me, it's just curious because it does seem very... That seems interlinked to me, that you could be a witch and be very into... obviously putting that stuff in the potions and everything else. So if the drug thing's not a thing, then you said something about like love potions and stuff like that. Like, can you elaborate on that? Like, do people...
There are people out there that, truly believe in them. I'm not one, because I don't think that that's something that you can do to somebody, I shouldn't say that, but
right.
There's psycho chicks out there that do all sorts of things.
Right.
But as far as the potions go, there again, I think it comes down to intention. If it's something that you really want, it'll happen. You'll make it happen.
Right.
And if the love potion is what helps you to believe that, then more power to you.
I think there's something that can be said for anything. If you're someone who every day prays for a certain thing, you could equate that to meditating or something like that, where it really focuses you
Yes.
on that thing. So if you took an hour out of your day to do a whole potion on this love thing, then maybe that's the thing. You might need counseling too, but
Yeah.
it may be something that focuses your brain on that thing happening. Yeah, I mean, because I could, I see men as something that would be like, there would definitely be, forget love, just give me the sex potion.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm interested in. So how does that work in your religion? Like, that was another one with the Christian religion to me that always seemed hokey. God doesn't seem to care that 6 million Jews got killed in concentration camps, but he cares what ugly you bump next. Like, who you got naked with is a real bugaboo in the Christian religion.
It is.
So if you're a pagan, seems to me that everything I've ever seen about pagan, they're always naked and dancing around a fire. Like, is that a thing?
Well, sex is considered. It can be considered sacred. It's getting closer to the goddess, basically.
Right.
It holds power, and it does. The energy you put out during sex.
But there's no negative stigma. Like my favorite girls growing up were the Christian ones, because they were not supposed to be doing that, and it made it so much more fun.
Not really. Sex is there again. It's part of nature. So, and the goddess, to us, enjoys sex. So,
right.
It
should be a good thing to do, but for my purposes would probably make it boring, because telling you these Christian girls were something. But okay, so
the pagan girls are a little bit more open-minded about things.
Right. How does that work for you? So my sons, who would never listen to my podcast or anything like that. I don't think they would, unless I died. They'd be like, "Well, Miss Dad, let's take a look." Like the drug thing. I'm pretty open-minded about that, and I talk to them in a way that's different than what my parents did. My dad was like, if you do drugs, I will kill you.
Yeah.
I will strangle you until you're dead, because I think it was an embarrassment on him. Like, he would have been embarrassed that way. So that was his way of fearing me into don't do drugs. I had a buddy that the better way was, his mom was like, listen, be careful, because you don't know, it was way more realistic. You don't know where that's coming from. You don't know what's actually in that. That's not a doctor. And that made us think more like, ooh, I should not probably snort that or smoke that, because who knows what's in that for real.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had buddies that were smoking pot with formaldehyde in it and stuff like that, and getting way screwed up. And I don't know what they did to their brains or whatever,
right.
But it was a better way. So, when the podcast goes on and people talk about drugs and stuff, I've told my sons, I go, listen, when you're an adult, when you're 20 years old, if you want to smoke or something like that, just make sure you're doing the right thing and you're not letting it control you and everything like that. And I'm not even a smoker. Pot, you know what I mean? Sort of a situation. But so, I don't want to fear them into it. I don't want to strict them into it, but I want them to understand that it's not something that they should probably do when they're 17 years old, because it's going to derail you from the things that you need to be doing. I try and go bigger picture with them. Listen, you're a wrestler. You got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. If you got high at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're probably not going to do the last 3 things on your list.
Right.
Then you're not going to win your match. So you decide what you want to do, and you want to lose, then do this, and that's what'll happen. So when you said you have, what are your kids?
No, I just have one.
Just one. Okay.
Yeah, Cassidy. She's
so female, which is even more.
Yep.
How do you put on that kid not to be running around having sex with everyone if it's totally cool?
Well, actually, with her, I got lucky, so to speak. She wasn't the wild child, which, being mine, kind of surprised me. But when it came to sex, I just told her, be careful. You don't know what's out there.
Right.
Use protection. Mm-hmm. And when she moved down to Florida, I put her on birth control, being that she was, so many miles away.
Yeah, right.
But I told her, I said, and that was the one thing. It was like, yes, this will help you not get pregnant, but you still need to wear protection because there are diseases out there.
Yeah, right. Some you can't get rid of.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a little bit more open-minded about sex. So for me, it didn't bother me that much. I just made sure that she was intelligent enough and informed enough about things.
Which I feel is a better way to go. But I would want to. I didn't never use religion that way anyway. I pretty much just keep my kids so busy that they can't get in that much trouble anyhow. But I know that that's a guilt thing that some parents use with their children to make sure they don't. Like I said, from my experience, it backfires. The girls go right to it.
Oh yeah,
because that's the taboo and the big thing that they can't do. But if it was totally wide open and free, that seems to me to be a thing that'd be like, oh wow, like. Almost like you're giving them license to do.
Some people take it that way. Like I said, I got lucky. And I guess it helped that my daughter's a geek.
Okay.
So she wasn't around like the boys that were. I mean, not, but the ones that didn't know how to approach. So I got lucky that way. But. Well, I guess I've just always had such a good relationship with her that it just...
Only child's probably an easier one to do, too. I mean, I have 3, and, I've definitely tried... I think I spend more time with mine than most people do, just because my boys work for me and stuff like that. So, there's definitely a lot that goes on, but it just... When even the religion says... it's totally cool to do, that probably gets, I don't know, it's a weird thing. But like you said, you got lucky. But do any of when you talk to other people that are involved in that, do they have trouble with their kids, doing?
No, actually. I think because we look at it as a more sacred thing. I mean, it doesn't equate to, oh my God, I can run free and, fuck whatever I want.
Right. And I think, honestly, that's probably the problem with the other way of doing it is you bottled them up, kept them. And then when you do send them off to college... That's it. It's a free-for-all because I've been held from it for so long. Yeah. When, like I said, my buddy's mom was like, hey, if you try drugs, be careful because this, and this. And the guy really never... gravitated towards that stuff anyway. Yeah. I don't know if it was coincidence or if that was the right approach to take with it, because when my dad said that, my dad was a scary dude, and I was like, yeah, he'll kill me, so I better not get caught. But I was still going to make that choice, and I was going to make that choice and see if I could get away with it. When his mom said that, I was like, yeah, what the hell am I doing, even thinking about doing that? Yes. So it was definitely different. All right, so what's the overall, Christianity? You're a child of God, then you live your life, God judges you in the end, and heaven is the end result, or whatever, or hell, if you're the wild one. What goes on in the pagan religion? Are you just worm food, or are you... I mean, if you're a scientist, that's what you are.
No, there's... some people call it Summerland. Which I guess would equate to heaven in a way, but... I
mean, you said something about Odin, so Valhalla or something like that?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
There is no, hell, that's a Christian construct.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a biblical construct, because I've read the Bible, and he says stuff about, separating the weeds from the crop and putting the weeds in the fire, but... hell itself is never really that's not a thing. I think
and that's like Satan and everything. That's completely Christian. That's for us, no, it's Summerland. It's to be with the goddess. It's basically what it is. But there is no judgment. There is no, oh my God, you did bad things, so you go here,
Right.
So, no, it's just one big happy family, I guess you could say. I mean, if you wanted to put a spin on it.
Right, so there's nothing I think there's a couple Christian religions out there that don't believe in heaven either. They believe that, like,
Well, I know that there's one that believes in purgatory or the limbo or.
yeah, there's all kinds of that.
So-
But like the one just says that, like, God will live where God lives, and then, like, when the Revelation's time comes, like, the earth will be different and it'll never rain, and like the dew will make the plants grow, and everything will be sunny. There won't be any sickness, and there won't be any pain in childbirth, and all this. Like, they try and, like, go through a bunch of stuff, and I don't like to have conversations with them because that's an easy one to pick holes in.
Yeah.
But so there's different beliefs with everything. But when I see something that, like, if I can't, I think the Buddhist one, it's reincarnation, where you keep getting a chance to do it again and do it again, and I think you're raised up or down depending on how you lived the last life.
There are pagans that believe that
in reincarnation.
Yes.
Or that same construct where you up and, like, you become
you're
something.
learning from your mistakes.
So in this, are dogs and cats, and are they beings in this religion? Like, can you come back as a dog?
I guess I could.
I don't know if that's a thing or not. All right. What else? No broomsticks or anything like that, right?
Well, no. There is a thing called a besom broom.
Okay.
But we use that in, like, our rituals, our Sabbats. You can use that, and a lot of them, like, to clean your sacred space, you can use a besom broom.
Wait. So it's actually a broom,
Yes.
and you sweep with it?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't ride it,
No.
but you actually clean
How
with
I
it.
wish.
But this sounds like a husband wizard or witch thing that worked out. This doesn't sound like a real witch thing. So when you clean your sacred space with it, what does that do? Why would you just use a regular broom?
Well, a besom broom is supposed to be something that you've made. You can buy them on the internet, though, But they're cleansed. They're,
When you're the lazy witch.
when you're a lazy witch, you find it on the internet.
Right.
But no, basically it's one that you use just during certain times. And when you clean your sacred space, it's where you perform all your things, your meditation, your, incantations, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
And the broom is used just for that. It's not used every day to sweep your floor, and you usually are saying an incantation when you're sweeping.
Okay.
So, and you've got to, cleanse it.
Okay, so what else is like that in the religion or in the belief system?
Well, I had, right now we're still working on gutting our house. But I had an altar space. I do have crystals. I have crystals all over the house.
Okay.
I have.
Now, you said altar space makes me think of sacrifices. Have you done anything more than prick your finger?
No.
Okay, right.
No.
But other people do?
Some people do. It's
Like
not
chickens
really
and stuff like that?
That's more of a voodoo thing.
Right.
No, we don't sacrifice animals. We don't, eat kids.
What's that? The Hansel and Gretel sort of situation? Okay.
No, it's your altar is basically where you sit and commune.
Yeah, put your good thoughts or your bad thoughts out there.
Yes, you're communing with the gods.
Right.
That's basically what it is.
Okay.
I have a little cauldron and.
Now, I always kind of pop into pop culture with stuff like this. Is there any movie out there that you would say you watch that and you're like, yeah, whoever was involved in this movie actually knows something about this? Because I don't know if The Wicker Man.
No.
Nicolas Cage, not very.
Well, not really. I haven't. There's a lot where it's like, okay, they did a little research here. And then,
because I've seen a bunch of movies where they did the Santeria or whatever stuff and everything else, and then I've seen a bunch of movies with voodoo in them, like Angel Heart with Mickey Rourke.
Yes.
Where they were cutting up chickens and stuff. And I don't know how realistic any of that is. But nothing's out there that if someone listened to this and they were like, you know what, I'm sure that at times in your life this made you feel better about a time that was not going well and stuff like that. Right. So if someone's having a hard time and they just couldn't do the Christian thing and they were looking for an alternative, just like you did, like where would you send them to the library or to the internet, I guess?
Now it would be the internet.
Right.
There are certain websites, Pathos Pagan is one of them. They have, and it's not just one thing that they focus on. They have different, authors for different things. And really, it's a lot of reading, and it's finding what feels good to you.
Yeah.
So it's, some people believe in the Odinism. It's, and for them, that's what makes them, feel better.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's the internet. It's basically the internet.
Right. And now Odinism, I mean,
I keep throwing that out, but
no,
it's one of the ones.
Right, we've always seen, everyone's seen Thor, and that's Thor's dad. So, like, if you're someone that believes heavily in Odinism, do you pray to Odin?
Yes.
Yeah, right, because you believe he's a god. And
Yep.
Okay. And so you believe in Thor and all that other stuff then?
I'm not so much an Odinist. I'll joke
not
around.
You, but a person that is.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I know some Odinists, and yes. No, they believe
now, is any of it just for fun? Like, just because, like, it's a fun fantasy to have, and, like, they, like, like, I got a guy...
for some people, yeah.
Yeah, I have friends that like the LARP thing where they dress up like...
Yes.
And they reenact stuff and everything else. And for them, it's shits and giggles. It's fun. But it's... I don't know if they don't, like, if they necessarily don't believe in it, but they want to, you know what I mean? Sort of thing. So, hey, man, if people work their jobs and do their thing, if there's something out there that makes them happy, by all means, go to it. Do it, man. So, like, what happened in your life that made you feel like this was, like, is it just something that centers you in a way? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, there was never any one thing. Just Christianity didn't set well. It never gave me that peace.
Mm-hmm.
It never, there was always things that I felt wrong in the Bible or going to church and listening to these men up there, and nothing against, No,
there's plenty against them. That's a total bullshit fucking thing. Those people, they're the biggest child screwing.
Yeah,
situation
Catholicism.
Right. So, like, there's a whole mess of nasty in that, and it is definitely, like, it's a situation where you have to suspend critical thinking to believe that this guy who is up there in a robe is telling you to humble yourself while he's got the hat, the gown, all these. There's little kids with the candles and everything, the incense, everything's going on. That's absolutely not like the hypocrisy of the Catholic religion is crazy.
Catholicism is.
But again, if it makes you happy, if it's a social thing for you, if it makes your life better, I don't begrudge that anyone. By all means, do it.
Yes.
But if I grew up Catholic. If you're a Catholic and you're going to stay a Catholic, you should be the loudest voice for what the hell are we doing to stop this situation. And I mean, there's simple fixes. Just let them get married.
Yes.
Make women priests and stuff like that. We could all make big changes. Well, it's good. Anything else that you can add? That, I mean, the broom thing was a hair blowback thing. No, those are interesting things. Like, if I saw one, I wouldn't know what it was until now.
Well, I mean, really, like my notes, like I said, I'm the lazy witch. I had to. Well, I'm the forgetful witch too. Really, there's no definition of witchcraft, of being a witch.
Sure.
Really, I wish a lot of people out there didn't think that we were all evil and Satan worshiping.
Well, I think movies and fairy tales
No,
have
it doesn't help.
No, right. And I mean, immediately when I think of a witch, I think you have at least two friends and you have a cauldron somewhere. Right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, that's the idea. I would, to me, it would be great if there was an easy fix for, like, if there was, I mean, no crystal ball or anything like that. Like, so you said you do tarot cards. Have you ever seen them? I've been to a psychic twice, and both of them were nowhere near correct about anything.
I have personally been with a psychic that was so spot on that I sat there in amazement. I was
Well,
like,
I was there, and I was like not amazed by mine, but I remember the people around me being, "That is so it," and I almost equate that to you have to want
yeah,
a little bit. You have to want to believe.
Well, like the one I was with, and I've seen a lot of, shams out there.
Yeah.
The one that I'm talking about, she was so, I mean, she named my sister that I don't even talk to.
Right.
She could be so spot on, and I never, because she was one that she's like, don't tell me anything. She's like, here, shuffle the cards.
Right.
And then from there, she just
Right.
And
now I'm just I don't begrudge anyone. I believe it's complete bullshit. All of
a
it.
lot of them
And
are.
no, I've never. Right. I just the one we went to that everybody that was with me. I was with 5 people, and I was the 6th person, and I was just the whole time like no. This woman was like, she was picking everything she could, and I think I was an oddball guy. I was 23 years old and I already owned my own company. So like she was picking these things that she saw a 23-year-old guy with work boots on. She was profiling me, and she couldn't come up with, like, I was already the boss. So she's like, you're going to use your truck to haul firewood. And I'm like, not in a million years. No. I make way too much money to be hauling firewood.
I had one tell me, and I was told I couldn't have kids. So my daughter is a miracle.
Right.
So, and I remember going to one, and she was like, oh, I see you with twin boys.
Now, did you ever like read about what Houdini did with his mom? Houdini and his mother were like really, really tight, and they made a pact. She had something she told him that she would tell a medium that when she died, she would tell this person. He could go, and he like scoured the earth looking for someone who could repeat this thing to him, and not one person could ever do it. And him being a magician, he found all the wires and the goofy things that they did and everything else. So he was like exposing charlatans, left and right. But for an entertainment value, the 5 people I was with, we had a blast. It was fun. We laughed about it and everything else. But like they do shows on how some of those people do research on people and everything else.
Oh yeah, no, they've done the things with like what was his name, Edward or John Edwards. They would ask the people walking into the stadium, specific things, things like that. But I mean, personally, and hopefully she won't listen to this, a friend of mine that I grew up with, her mom would actually come to me in dreams. Okay. And I would call her, and she'd be like, you're freaking me out. How did you know this? Right. Because her mom would tell me things. And it was always weird. It was like through a fuzzy phone call, like with a lot of static. Right. But then I would call my girlfriend, and she'd be like, okay, stop. So, I guess it comes down to personal. Yeah, that's true. I want to be someone who's open-minded. So, like, if there was something that I think a lot of stuff always goes from when I can't explain it, then I make up a reason why this happened. And I don't like to do that myself, but I would love for there to be an easy fix, because I mean I don't think there is any easy fix, and I don't think, like, in what with witchcraft and paganism and everything, there is no easy fix. There is no. Well, let's see. So I equate it to the same thing as like the health food store. Instead of when someone walked in the door and they're like, oh, I'm fat, I'm lazy, I'm tired, I don't feel good, and everything else, the person doesn't look at them and go, start eating better, start working out, and drink a lot of water, and get out of here. Yeah. And they would go do that, and they would feel 100% better if they really adhere to that lifestyle. What they want is you to hand them a jar of pills. Yes. They can take 5 pills in the morning, and it's going to handle all that. And the pills are bullshit. Like, that's not going to do it. What you need to do is get an exercise regimen and eat right. Yes. And live your life differently, and you'll feel better. Yes. So, those are the easy fixes when I can just buy a bottle of pills. Yeah. No. A spell or incantation sounds like an easy fix. It can be. To some people, I guess, to them, it could be. But to me, and this is, like I said, it's a very personal thing, but to me, it's the deities, whatever you want to call them, gods, goddesses, they want you to find it within yourself.
Yeah, sure.
It's, if there's a problem, find it.
Yeah,
Fix
this
it.
is really, Tricia, this has been terrific. I mean, I think anyone who listens to this will definitely, it's the least evil thing you know what I mean? Like, as far as that goes, like, and I'm sure there's someone that would try and use it for evil.
Oh, yeah.
So you said there's white and gray. There's obviously black too.
Yes, there
right?
is. There is, and it can be called the left-hand path. And that's all they want to do is harm people. But
Right.
in any religion, that's
See, and I think some of that, like, being a guy, that always goes back to sex for me. I think the person that wants to be like the sexy witch would obviously be the black one, right? Because, she's gonna have a persona that's
yeah,
evil
no, and I can yeah.
right. And I think like that would almost come from a background of being very Christian, and now I'm flipping the script on the whole
Yeah.
thing, and I'm going the other way. So, yeah, and all of it, like, I'm so open-minded. Like, I don't have a problem if you need to dress up like furry bunnies to have fun with your husband or your wife or whatever. Knock your socks off. So if you need to be like a black witch or whatever to really
Yeah.
get excited about something, then that's great too. If it makes you happy, that's great. Like, I think that's the biggest secret in the universe is find things that make you happy
yeah.
and don't let anybody.
Well, if you look at the basis of most religions, it's about love. Really, most of them, it's love yourself, love others,
Yeah.
be kind.
Right.
Some
Some of the philosophy is super sound. Like if in the Bible it says not to lust after your neighbor's wife, and then lust in general is a bad thing, and it is, because if you spend nowadays porn's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And there are dudes that have said to me, I got a problem with this. I watch porn for 8 hours a day. Okay, first off, if you just took the Bible's philosophy and you ran with it and you weren't doing that, your day would be more productive.
Yes.
You wouldn't look at women the same way because there's nothing in a porn that's realistic at all.
Oh, God, no.
Right. So, I had someone that was a lesbian on, and like lesbian sex in porn is not lesbian
Realistic,
sex.
yeah.
No, it's not. I'm sure there's certain attributes or the physical part of it that's happening, but everything around it is not the
Yeah.
same. Even the actresses in there are not lesbians. They're mostly straight women that are,
Acting.
being paid to do this
Yeah.
thing. So, when it comes down to all that stuff, if it makes you happy, do it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this does. And like I said, it sounds like it's, for you at least, all in the respect of like good,
Yeah.
we'd like good outcomes and things to be good and everything else. My thing always comes, I'm a cynic or, and a skeptic. So my thing's always like, geez, if you had power,
Yeah, I know.
shouldn't you rolled up in a Mercedes? Like, shouldn't it all been, like that? That's what I would think power would create.
Okay, one of the first, and this is one of the very first things that when I started looking at paganism and everything, was you can't use it to benefit just yourself. If you're going to do that, you have to benefit others also.
Okay.
So, and
How did pagan become so? Growing up for me, and I think for most people that grew up in a Christian thing, pagan was a bad word.
oh yeah.
That's, if you read the Bible, the pagans are the bad ones. Like,
Yes.
I guess if you look at it like they're all cults, a cult would make every other thing the bad one.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you doing that; they want you doing this. So
Christianity's kind of like one big cult. So
yeah, no, it can be. And there's all kinds of them. There's a lot.
No, there is.
I think I equate a cult to anything that you have to really, really do high level mental gymnastics to believe in it.
Yes.
Like believing Donald Trump is a superstar and a super smart person, you have to sort of be drinking some Kool-Aid there. But if you do, I don't hold, that would never change my view of anyone.
Right.
For sure. I think that I'm definitely the odd guy in the room when it comes to that, because for sure, before someone that listened to this and someone said a witch, they would definitely be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, I know my old roommate would be like, if I lived with him right now, he'd be freaked out. He'd be like, freaking witch, man.
I think, and I think that's why I agreed to do this, because the term witch has so many negative
It definitely does.
connotations to it, and I don't think people are willing to take the time to actually learn what we are.
Right.
You know, so, and that's one of the reasons why, and believe me, when I first came out of the closet, it's, so, and we call it the broom closet.
Yeah, no, I would think for a while, like, honestly, with the podcast, I was kind of concerned that maybe you would bail, because it is a thing that if it's not something you're totally comfortable with, and I mean that with I had a transgender male on the other night, and it was the same thing. I'm like, I want to know about it. I want to be
I need to listen
open-minded.
to that one, because I work with a transgender.
Right,
so.
I want to be open-minded about it. Well, and they're all snowflakes, so like they're all not. When I don't say that in like the, Trumpster. I mean, they're all unique and different.
Oh, yes.
In their own way. So, I don't know if this person's stories would equate to someone else's. It's like saying that you understand every orphan because you read Oliver Twist. That's not a way. But so like these things, the podcast that I have, I really like try and find out something different, and a lot of times it is a very, very personal thing to them, and it I guess it really even seems more positive to me that you're married to someone. How long have you been married?
23 years.
Long time. Right. So I mean, like, you've been in a monogamous relationship, committed relationship for that long, and this person's not involved in that belief system either.
He supports me. He'll buy me crystals.
Yeah,
I mean,
right, no, that's fine. But I'm saying that, like, it hasn't ruined your. I know religions that have ruined marriages.
Oh yeah.
They were both Catholic. The woman went off and went to full holy roller. So it's almost the same sort of belief system, and they couldn't handle each other anymore.
Right.
Because she could not handle not having him go to the super mega church thing that he didn't want to do. But the cult was calling and saying, "Why isn't your husband?"
He has to be here too.
He has to be here too.
Yeah.
You have to evangelize to this guy and everything else. So that's another positive. If anything I'm missing question wise, anything else that you can think of?
Not really.
We're an hour and 30 minutes into it. So
Are we really?
Yeah, right. So it works out pretty good to run right through stuff. But I don't want to leave anything out there. And if there is anything, I do have a couple of internet questions that I will ask. I know Tim and hold on, I got more now actually.
Oh.
So let's see. All right. So I got. What do I got here? No, they're commenting on something. Not that. Hold on one second.
No, I'll be honest. I was a little scared to come on here. I was hoping that you were gonna not make it out to be some crazy,
No. I don't. None of that. No. Jeez, there's all kinds of things that I would. So I sat down with a flat Earth guy for a while, and I don't believe in that even remotely. It's just not. Physics just doesn't let me do that.
Yeah.
But the things he had to say, the amount of stuff that they were covering in there was amazing, the amount that he knew. Like, I want to get him on the podcast and talk about it. Like, it doesn't matter if I don't believe in it or not. It matters that it's out there and that something someone can learn. And honestly, it seems to me like you seem like a person with a really good disposition and everything else. If there's someone out there that's really feeling like there's something missing in their world, maybe that would be, something that's good. Okay. So my buddy Tim here, who's, one of my top fans, I got to say, is this witches as in Wizard of Oz or religious belief? And he's got Wicca. So it's right. We know it's that. And then, I don't know what Anthony's asking here. He says, what else floats?
I sure as hell don't.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Wait a minute. My podcast this afternoon on witches, I have Tricia coming on to explain what is involved. Post your questions. What else floats? I'm lost.
Oh, well, I mean, back in the Inquisition, there was the if you drowned, you're a witch.
Oh, okay. So the Salem witches stuff, were there ever any real witches there?
Supposedly. There's two that are believed to be actual witches, but otherwise, no. They were really all innocent women.
And famous, like Aleister Crowley, and now is that a witch?
Yeah.
And what about, I think that Alice Cooper is supposed to be named after something like that, right?
Yeah, that one I don't know anything about.
Right.
But he is supposed to be named after a witch.
Those are my heavy metal references.
Yeah.
Like Aleister Crowley, I think it was a Black Sabbath song or something.
Well, like Jimmy Page, he follows the Crowley principles.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, so who else?
Yes.
I mean, we talked about Stevie Nicks.
Hold on. Did I put down?
Cause I get when I recruit kids to be wrestlers, I explain to them that every single Abraham Lincoln was a wrestler and George Washington was a wrestler, and they're always pretty cool. I don't want to recruit people to be witches, but
No,
it's
actually,
interesting to hear.
if you look up, there's quite a few celebrities out there that are pagan. Supposedly Ariana Grande is one.
Okay. Right.
I'm trying to think. There's a rapper out there.
Yeah, if I could get a Scientologist person on.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Right. Just don't stand on my furniture.
Have you ever read the book?
No, Dianetics?
Yes.
No.
You should. I read that when I was about 15.
Right.
So, it's interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, that's written by a bad... wasn't he a bad sci-fi writer?
Writer, yes.
And a con man at the same
Yes.
time. So good times. I mean, like I said, this for me is an open forum. I will, I have just about anybody on. Well, let's wrap it up. We're an hour and 36 minutes, and I think we got a lot of good stuff out there as far as it goes. I definitely have a different impression of what a witch is. Going into it, I knew Stevie Nicks did things where she, it was all good stuff that she was trying to do, the doves and all the other stuff. But I have to tag it off with, if you dig what I'm doing, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like the video. You can check my podcast out on iTunes. Thanks for tuning in.